Mr. Lee Fusan, Chairman of ECA, Mr. Paul Bay, Chairman of REAP Exhibitions, Your Royal Highness, Excellencies and distinguished guests. I'm very happy to join you this morning for our inaugural International Built Environment Week. Singapore has hosted many conferences for the built environment over the years, but these tend to target specific segments and have a more domestic focus. This year, for the first time, we've pulled together a flagship event to bring together the entire built environment sector, as you heard just now. So it's quite striking, and you look behind me, and the logos of all the industry associations in our built environment ecosystem. We've got developers, planners, architects, engineers, contractors, project managers, facility managers, valuers. I think it's probably the first time I've attended events where all of them are represented in one single event. But beyond the domestic focus, we have also brought together industry leaders and professionals from the region and the world. So we are very happy to have many overseas guests with us today. I warmly welcome you to Singapore, and I hope that all of you will make good use of this platform to exchange ideas on advancing the built environment sector and work together perhaps on new business deals. We've chosen the theme, Transforming the Way We Build, for this conference to remind us of the urgent need for the built environment sector to change and upgrade itself. Compared to other sectors of the economy, the construction sector, the built environment sector still lacks in terms of productivity and technology adoption. For too much of the construction sector, there is still a lot of it entrenched in the traditional brick and mortar ways of building. And this is true not just in Singapore, I'm sure you see this in many other countries around the world. So we do need to make a push to transform and upgrade the entire built environment sector. The good news is that infrastructure demand remains very strong, especially in this part of the world. Developing economies of Asia and the Middle East are ramping up infrastructure capacity to enhance livability and economic competitiveness. Singapore too, despite our maturing economy, we too have a strong infrastructure pipeline with major upcoming projects, including our housing projects, new airport terminal and seaports. So the opportunities abound, and our built environment sector needs to be able to level up, to deliver quality infrastructure in a timely and resource-efficient manner. At the same time, the pace of digitalization and technology advancement is rapidly accelerating. It is happening across so many different industries, in finance, in real estate, in logistics. So we should harness technology in the built environment sector too. And this is happening, but we really need to give this a bigger push. We have been talking for some time about design for manufacturing and assembly, or DFMA, as well as the use of building information modeling, or BIM. Fortunately, these are now starting to take root and to replace conventional building processes. In tandem, advancement in robotics, sensor technology, and data analytics are fueling a new wave of building technologies, or what we call built tech solutions. And we are starting to see solutions coming in companies that are outside of the built environment sector. Recently, I visited ST Engineering. They are well known as a defense engineering company in Singapore. But their technologies and the solutions they have developed in defense, in fact, can be adapted for the built environment sector too. For example, they have been using drones to inspect aeroplanes. The drones will fly around, particularly to look at whether there are any cracks on the aeroplane parts. And they have developed algorithms, smart algorithms, AI, to be able to capture the images and then to detect these cracks. And now they're starting to see these can be adapted to detect cracks in building facades. So there is a new wave of building technologies that are coming up, and I think these are very exciting developments which the entire sector should embrace. There is another important reason why we need to change and upgrade urgently, and that is the threat of climate change, which is one of the greatest challenges of our time. Buildings account for nearly 40% of the global greenhouse gas emissions. So we really need to make a collective effort to shift towards a more sustainable built environment sector and ensure that the infrastructure we build benefits not just those who use them today, but also future generations who will inherit our planet. So together, all of these trends call for us to build better, smarter, and greener. And that is, I think, a collective challenge as well as an aspiration that we should strive towards. Singapore has been on this journey for some time. We started our transformation journey some years back, and we've made some good progress. So I'd like to share with you some of the efforts we've made and what we have done and our plans going forward for the future. Since 2010, if you track our progress over the last few years, we've seen a 15% improvement in site productivity in our construction site. Much of this improvement can be attributed to our buildability framework. This is an appraisal system put in place to encourage more productive building practices like DFMA, Design for Manufacturing and Assembly. We introduced this framework nearly 2 decades ago after studying how countries like Japan was able to raise their construction productivity. So under a buildability framework, we make it mandatory for consultants to submit their building plans to BCA and to meet a minimum productivity score based on the productive building methods that are used, be it for structural systems, wall systems, or DFMA. We call this a buildability or buildable design score. So the designers can choose from a catalog of productive building designs, systems, and technologies to meet these scores. The consultants will have to submit, and it's mandatory. This has worked so far. It has worked well so far. It's achieved the productivity improvements that I highlighted earlier, but we think there's still room to improve. We've received industry feedback that the current framework is too prescriptive and does not always encourage innovation. For example, if a consultant and the developer has a new innovative precast solution, it may not fit neatly into any of the existing categories. The solution is to have a high buildability score, but it doesn't tick all the boxes. So the framework should allow for more flexibility, it should be less prescriptive and more outcome-based. And we will take this feedback on board. So by the end of this year, we will introduce an open option in our buildability framework, where consultants are no longer constrained by the catalog of options. You can propose any solution, any combination of precast, prefab, PPVC solutions, as long as these new solutions can meet the stipulated productivity gain. So I hope this will be well received and will encourage more industry-led innovation. We will also undertake a more fundamental review of the framework in consultation with the industry. Over the years, our industry has built up expertise in building productive building technologies. So I think there is scope to set even higher standards, meaning to say we have to think about raising the minimum scores for our buildability framework. We are also looking to integrate DFMA into all aspects of building works, from structural to architectural to mechanical and electrical and plumbing works. As opposed to the current situation where the use of DFMA is assessed as a separate component. So the idea is to see how we can integrate DFMA into all these different aspects of the buildability design score. And hopefully this change will help the industry to see DFMA as an integral and default way of building rather than a separate component. beyond productive building methods, we are also embracing digital technologies. Such technologies span a wide range from virtual and augmented reality to online collaboration to automated production and inspection to smart facilities management. At the heart of it all is BIM, Building Information Modeling, which can connect the entire building life cycle to enable a new way of working where stakeholders and work processes are fully integrated across the construction value chain. And there are many benefits to this. At the design and construction stage, architects, engineers, contractors, and fabricators can collaborate more effectively to reduce design conflicts, optimize construction processes, and avoid costly rework. At the operations stage, BIM enables real-time monitoring and data analysis to guide facilities management. So this can eventually move us towards a smarter maintenance regime, one that's preventive and predictive capabilities to minimize infrastructure downtime. Much like how assembly lines transform the manufacturing sector, digitalization has the potential to fundamentally transform the way we build. So the whole industry really needs to embrace digitalization. And I'm glad in Singapore we are moving in the right direction. Today, more than 90% of our new building projects have adopted BIM. And we expect this to increase in future as more of our workforce becomes BIM competent through pre-employment education and continuing education and training. Now, 90% using BIM sounds like a very high number, but there is a difference between submitting a plan using BIM and truly using BIM from start to finish. And all of you who are practitioners in the industry know this. Right? You can easily submit a plan through BIM because the government requires it to be so. But are you really harnessing the full benefits of BIM? You know the answer better. And we also know that there are still obstacles to overcome. For example, different BIM softwares will produce BIM models that are not entirely compatible with each other. And this hinders collaboration on the same BIM model. Now, I'm acutely aware that there are BIM software providers represented here today. Representatives from these companies. So I would encourage all of you to really think about providing interfaces for your softwares to talk. I can appreciate that there are commercial reasons why you would prefer not to, but I don't think this does any good for the industry. Because architects using one model, engineers using one model, and when the softwares are not fully interoperable, it defeats the purpose of using digitalization, and it really undermines a shared objective that we all have. In any case, within Singapore, we are taking steps to see how we can address this gap. So we've launched a $4 million grant call for common digital platforms for the built environment sector last year, and we've awarded our first project to Delphi, which is a joint venture between Wohab, a construction company in Singapore, and a tech company called Hubble. So Delphi will develop a common digital platform to enhance interoperability and to allow users of different major BIM softwares to exchange BIM data seamlessly. When completed, the platform will be hosted by Hubble and will be made available to the industry in phases starting from the end of next year. So we hope this will help make a start in promoting BIM interoperability. Even better, if the software companies yourselves start to make this available and work on your own shared interfaces so that we do not have to do this in Singapore. And in fact, the whole world can benefit from more easier and seamless exchange